Take your mind back 2 years to a pre-pandemic time when we took time for granted and tomorrows felt all but guaranteed. When schools were out for a summer whose warmth was relaxing, not deadly. And students like me dreaded the certainty of returning to stuffy classrooms that reeked of BO for the first few months. I'm talking about the summer of 2019. In late July, I was a soon-to-be sophomore in college, finishing up an internship at Walker's Point Center for the Arts. My friend Dallas stumbled into 2 media passes for the Washington County Fair, and I couldn't say no, even though we were only working as volunteers. Normally, and maybe now that I'm a little older, I would tell you to never work for free. Unless, like a younger me, you've got nothing better to do with your life other than have a million existential crises mixed in with a healthy dose of FOMO. And the prospect of nearly unlimited access to affairs too good to pass up, if for nothing more than to flex on your Instagram stories and or build your portfolio. Our assignment was simple. Roam the grounds for a few hours over the course of a weekend and capture anything and everything that catches your eye. People, places, things, interactions. It's pretty much what I would do at a fair anyway. Speaking of fairs, the Wisconsin State Fair is back this year, which is what made me think of this set. Now, I'm not going on account of me being lame and my general aversion to large gatherings of individuals for many reasons, social anxiety being the second most prevalent factor at this moment in time. But I used to go a lot as a kid. Every year my parents would take me and my sister and we'd spend our days drinking milk and eating. But as we got older, it stopped being as fun. And, I don't really do the music. I'm too broke to play any of the games, and this might be sacrilegious as a Wisconsinite, but I think cream puffs are overrated and frying everything does not inherently make things taste better. Just my opinion, though. I've been seeing people posting stuff from the festivities, and it warms my cold heart to see people smiling again. It reminds me of a much simpler time, before we traded the flashing lights of merry-go-rounds and Ferris wheels for ambulances, when kids had to be reminded to leave room for Jesus and not because of a deadly virus, back when I was still somewhat of a kid holding on to the last strands of my teenage years. I've always romanticized the hell out of fairs and carnivals, and these last few months haven't been able to completely kill the hopeless romantic in me. They've more or less just launched a full-scale attack on the hope part, but I digress. In my 21 years of life, I don't think I've ever had a Ferris wheel kiss. And if I'm being honest, I wouldn't mind seeing what that's like at some point. Preferably not in the near future, and with an individual who is vaccinated from most, if not all, common communicable diseases and viruses. But I digress again. When me and Dallas were out shooting, we followed the action. We looked at the schedule and picked out things that lent themselves best to action. We got to shoot some archery, some wild BMX dudes. I got the stare of death from a lady running a corn stand, which I completely understand, and we were kicked out from the concert venue shortly after we arrived. Something I now conceptually understand, but didn't at the time. Right around dusk, we headed to where most photographers would. To the shiny lights, which of course meant the game section of the fairgrounds. I tried a little bit of everything. I whipped out the mini tripod and did long exposures of those spinning rides. We brought out the big boy lenses and captured people on those giant slides that looked dangerous as all hell. But I didn't feel great about the photos at the time. It's one of those things where, because we were surrounded by so many photo opportunities, or at least cool-looking scenes, I was overwhelmed, and I tried to just shoot anything and everything. I didn't take a moment to step back and think about what I was shooting. And I was even more unqualified than I am now. Because back then, I'd never held an official photography role. And everything I knew, I learned from trial and error from freelancing or from YouTube. I was the guy I'm guessing most pros cringe at. I was adapting vintage lenses because autofocus is expensive, and I was shooting a camera body I bought off Craigslist. But that was the beauty of that time. There were no expectations other than being professional and turning in the photos in a timely manner and treating everybody at the fairgrounds with respect. We were two kids with cameras documenting what we saw, and that's what made it fun. At some point, we stumbled upon the Ferris wheel, and I promise you that this was quite literally nothing more than pure luck and abnormally good timing. I pointed, I focused, and the picture presented itself. Everything I'd ever romanticized in my head about love and fairs right there in one frame. And it's still one of my favorite photos that I've ever personally captured, even after all these years. I'm not gonna lie though. It stung a little bit because I was only a few weeks removed from a breakup with a person I'd been with for almost 2 years, which is crazy to think about. If you'll let me romanticize coincidence for just a moment, I'd like to think that the universe was sending me a sign, telling me to keep being a hopeless romantic, to show me that there is love out there in the world, beyond what existed in my memories. Now, I wish I could have found these folks, but I couldn't chase them down after the ride stopped, and we unfortunately had to keep roaming the grounds. But every now and again, I wonder where they ended up. Unlike photographs, not all fairy tale moments remain that way. That's why part of me is scared that I captured this moment, knowing that, in retrospect, this moment might be painful for someone. But maybe this couple is still out there, madly in love. Even if they aren't, I hope that they're both doing well. And I believe that beautiful moments are still worth remembering, even if the remainder of the story isn't. See, that's the thing about life that I learned that summer, and through making my life suck a little less with every photo I made. It might be hard to believe it sometimes, but there is a lot of goodness in this world. For everybody who treats you like dirt, there's someone who will help you plant a garden, and someone else who will water your soul as you grow. There's something beautiful happening everywhere if you look hard enough. Sometimes you stumble into these moments, and even if it is by chance, you have to put yourself in position to be lucky. For me, that was volunteering my camera for a weekend in a city far away from home. Who knows what that could be for you?